So first, a huge thank you, because I received so many messages from last week that were really super nice and grateful and inspiring. And basically, you validated my why. And I'm going to share with you what this why, because we're going to dive in. This week is about purpose. So really reigniting your purpose, finding your why, and all this. So this is going to be the conversation, the why behind what we're doing. So last week, I touched upon the course I'm sharing with you, right? So I'm going to share with you the behind the scenes of what happened. So last summer, so you know I'm an executive recruiter. I interview strong candidates, but I find that interviewing is tough, and people are not really prepared for interviews, and so they don't present themselves very well on the spot. So with my finalists, I usually give them a little training before they meet with the client. So I created last summer, I thought, okay, I'm going to start a little course on how to interview to help everybody prepare. And it took me a while to structure the ideas, and then I rehearsed, and then I filmed, and I didn't like it, so I rehearsed again, and then I filmed again, and I did that 3 times. And at the 3rd time, I was like, that's it. I'm putting it on the website. It's out. That's it. And then I put it on my website, and I never advertised it. And the reason I never advertised it is because I thought I looked stiff. I thought the makeup made me look old. I thought the hair was not right. Like really important issues that prevented me from that. And last week on Monday, well, I had thought the week before, but on Monday, I sent an email and I said, okay, this information is really useful now and people need to have it now. And in 3 days, basically, I sent an email and I said, okay, let's do a Zoom. Let's make it happen. And you send me all these great emails to say it was useful. And I was thinking, what changed between last summer and this past week? And basically, it was my why. The purpose of why I was doing that, and my why was much stronger. And basically, I think I felt the urgency that the information I was going to share was really useful today, and that people would benefit from today. And because that was more important than my small appearance issues, I would say, and that I could help people right now, I went beyond that. So I'm learning. Obviously, I'm learning to be a bit more gentle with myself and others, but I'm learning that everything is a work in process, and I'm not stopping for, that perfect video with that perfect, whatever, hair lighting. That will never happen. So I'm sharing this with you because we're going to go into the why, but also I'm sharing this with you because this conversation is a collective, right? So I'm here sharing my 15 years of experience of interviewing, of recruiting, but I'll be sharing also the year of coaching that I went through. What is interesting is that you have created an energy of the group. I see some of you connected offline because you were in the same city. Some of you invited friends. Some of you are going full steam ahead with their career plans. And so there's a lot of things happening from the group. And I think that, we often don't do the exercise when we're given the exercise by ourselves, but we will do them when we show up in a group, if we're doing it, because we are accountable. So I'm accountable to you, you're accountable to the group, but we can dive into. I'm going to share with you the career strategy, and ideally, this conversation about reigniting your purpose. There we go. So I always start with a quote, and this is maybe my favorite quote ever. It's by Maya Angelou. And she said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I think that's where, your purpose comes into, because why you're doing things will show in your work and in the place. So the first exercise that I have was shared with, and I found very interesting, is the why exercise. And I think it's Toyota. It's a Japanese gentleman who started and who was the founder of Toyota, who started with this five levels of why, or 5 levels of why a problem happened in a company and how to fix it, right? And so from that, that exercise was taken for individuals. And that's what it helps you to understand what drives you and why you're doing things, and helps you motivate you. So the first level, it's very easy. It's, you know, why do you want to be successful in life? And that first level, you answer it, and then you take that answer and you say, why it is important for you for that answer? And you go deep, deep, deep down, like 5. So I've done the exercise, and I was looking at my notes because I did the exercise, I don't know, maybe last year, and I read it again. But I'm going to share with you what I went through, and to give you a taste of it. And you can redo this exercise several times and it will change. It's meant to change. Nothing is written in stone, but it's a great way to really get you through a tough day, or you know, when you don't know why you're doing, or you have a pile of administrative things that are, in my case, thing. So why do you want to be successful in life? And I remember, you know, going very basically because I want to make more money. And so the why is it important for you to make more money? So I said, because I want to invest in myself, in travels, obviously not happening right now, and in my children's education. So why is it important for you to invest in your children's education? So the reason is because I want them to have options to learn what they like and go and do on the things that they like to do. So why is it important for them to do the schools that they like and do that? Because I wish I had those options when I was young, and maybe I would be in a different path. I'm not sure about that, but so why is it important to have options? Because I think it helps you choose your path, right? And go into your best self. So I did that a couple of months ago. And when I read it recently, I had a very completely different answer. And so that tells you that your why will help you get through the most, it's like peeling an onion, get through the most softer or tender parts of yourself, and why you're really motivated. So when I did that again, I went to say, you know, why do you want to be successful in life? And after the course that I did, I said, because I want to inspire people to invest in their career and their future. So I said, why? Why do I want to inspire people to invest in their career and their future? And I said, because I want to make a bigger impact in the world by empowering more people than just with the recruitment. So why do I want to make a bigger impact? And I answered, because I want my kids to be proud of me and be inspired to make an impact themselves on the world. And I said, why do I want my kids to make an impact on the world, or to feel that they can make an impact on the world? I said, because I believe it's empowering to be able to make choices and have options. And so why is it empowering to have choices? And I answered, because for me, that's freedom. So as you see, you can go in really different routes. It can be very specific, but at the end of the day, what helps is that if you're doing something and you know that it's for, you know, freedom, or because you want to give your children an education, the choices that you didn't have or you wish you had, it helps you on the days you're less motivated to get through it. And so you will show that you can make an impact, or you can go through things with a bigger purpose. So that's the first part of the why exercise. And the second exercise I wanted to share with you that helps you keep that purpose alive is the mapping the future. And that exercise was, I took it from a class I attended. And I thought it was really interesting because it's very simple. It's like basically creating a GPS for yourself. And the first part, there's 4 parts to it. It's very simple. It's the current status. So the idea is to be very truthful with yourself and and say, where are you today, right? What is the current status? And the more truthful you are, the easier it is to set, it's your location where you start. It's like a GPS. The second part is the 1-year goal. So if you were to project yourself in 1 year and turn around and said, wow, this was the best year of my life, or one of the best years of my life, this would have happened, this has happened, and this has happened. That's kind of like your destination, right? So all of a sudden you now have a starting point and you have a destination point. So the third part is why these goals are important. And why these goals are important, that is what is going to help you stay on track to get to your destination. And the exercise we did before is a great way to have your whys, right? And that's maybe the positive side of the whys. And you have the option for the more pessimistic among us, or the days, you don't feel great. You can also have the why these goals are important, because if you didn't do them, then, we would be worse off than if you did. So you have the optimistic of having, think that you're giving freedom and you're doing it for freedom, or you can also have the pessimistic view and saying, well, if I don't do this, then I'm staying in my current status and nothing is changing. So depending on the days. And the fourth point is writing down some capabilities to achieve these goals. So just writing down a few ideas. And I wouldn't spend too much time on those, just because, again, nothing is written in stone. These things might change, but it's already having a few ideas to start things in motion, to put things in motion. So I redid myself the exercise of mapping the future. And so to be transparent, it was not easy, because so my current status was, before I did the course, was feeling that I was not learning anything new, and that I was not feeling challenged, and I was not having fun as much as I used to a couple of years back. So my 1-year goal was finding a new challenge, something fun to do, learning something new in the process, and ideally creating a new stream of revenue. So that's when I started triggering the online course. And why it was important for me, the goals, is because I wanted to feel the flow again, right? And make money from a different source, like try to be creative and find a different way of working. And the capabilities that I put down was to learn a new tool. And I went on to learn Teachable, which is an online platform for courses. I created a program. And one of the steps was also finding an assistant to help me. And that's when Charlotte, who's on the call, joined me. So that is the mapping your future. So I want to touch upon the attitude, because in your why, when I go to interviews, a lot of things happen in the first few minutes. When you meet a lot of candidates, and specifically for the same position, you tend to just see resumes, right? And so you try to find how one candidate is different than another, even though they have the same skill set, they might have the same experiences, not in the same company, but they've worked in similar types of company. And so what makes them different? And I always say that it's funny how in the first 2 or 3 minutes, you can see the attitude of somebody. You can feel a little bit how they are. So first, it's the confidence, right? So those of you who attended last week, we did the clarity on the hard skills and on the soft skills, and I gave you a few tests, personality tests. I know some of you did them, shared them with me. But the more you know who you are, and the more you know what you bring to the table, right, the more confident you can feel in an interview, because you feel legit. You feel that people are interviewing and this is all the skills you've had, right? All the accomplishments you've done. So that is a very important step is feeling confident about what you bring to the table and your experiences. The second thing is positivity. And I know one person on this call is a big, it's a pet peeve of being too positive. But one of the important things you can do when you start an interview or when you meet somebody is be aware of the first few words you share. And I can't tell you the number of times I met somebody for an interview and they started with, oh my God, there was so much traffic. Oh, did you see that it was pouring rain? The subway was late. I mean, they just arrived, and without even starting, the conversation, they're already starting to throw at you all these moments of not mini tragedies, but like really a heaviness. And I always say that, when you come to a meeting, the first few seconds of just coming, showing up and saying, hey, how are you? Thank you for having me at the meeting is just, if you can only say that, but say, being aware and present, it's huge. It's not possibility of, oh, we have to be positive and optimistic at all costs, but it's just being aware of the possibility of the meeting, the possibility that it can be a yes or no. It can be, we're right now in the middle of a crisis where everything is challenged, but a lot of things are possible, right? So not to block yourself from that possibility. And the third thing that I wanted to share with you when you go in interviews and or when you talk about work, was the listening part. Because often what happens is when you go on an interview, it's already a stressful moment, right? You want to be hired, you're afraid you might not share everything, you're uncertain of the questions you're going to be asked, etc. So it's a very, you're put in a fragile situation. And one of the things we tend to do is want to share too much, want to, give too much information. We precipitate the meeting and talk more than often more than needed. And one of the things that is a very easy trick is to listen to the person who is interviewing you, because they will ask questions, and already that question will give you a lot of information, the way they ask the question, what they're trying to understand from you. But also when you ask questions about a position, about a job, if you listen intently, you will create trust. So it's a bit of a trick, but if somebody listens to you very carefully, automatically you will relax and think that, that person is giving you attention. So you will feel important. And that's one of the small tricks of building trust between people. So being really present and listening. And when you have questions at an interview, and if you listen, pause, and even leave a little bit of space after that pause, people will often feel the need to jump in and share more, and they will give you more information. So often you don't need to, ask too many questions, but if you let people speak, they'll be more than happy to share information. So that's my few takes for the interviewing parts. So what I wanted to work on the why and focus this week on the purpose of reigniting your purpose is to go deep on why we're doing things, why we're working, why we're showing up, at meetings and being present. But I want to add the not to do list. So again, I don't know where I picked this one, but the ROI versus the ROT. So ROI is a return on investment, and ROT is return on time. And as some of you heard me last week, I think this crisis was a very like Marie Kondo moment, without the holding the moment and waiting for the spark joy. But I would like to take it one step further and really to list the things where you spend time on and see whether they can be automated, delegated, or eliminated. I don't know about you for this crisis, but we've been bombarded with classes like this one, and I won't take it personally if you want to drop off this one, yoga classes, meditation classes, interviews. Everybody is, soliciting your time. There's been newsletters. Everybody is communicating on the issue, and maybe your family is taking your time. Maybe family members want to create a Zoom. So there's a lot of intensity in the past few weeks, and a lot of our time has been spent. And so what can you really eliminate to make space? I'm a big proponent of, investing in your career. I think investing in your health is very important. Investing in, your family and your friendship is as equally important. But what can you do to invest in your career? What can you eliminate to put some time and attention on your career? So what can you delegate, or automate, or eliminate in your career? What are the 3 actions that move the needle the most in your life? So what really makes you feel alive? I have a soft spot for creativity. So I know that it can be very distracting for me, but it's also very rewarding. So I have a notebook where I'll put down my ideas. I indulge in having ideas. I don't follow them through because some of them are silly and useless. But I know that that's a place where I like to think of new things. So I'll put them on a notebook, and it makes me, and sometimes, I can go back to that thing. So what are the things that really excite you? What are the things that refresh you? Just, a few of them, to do more of those. And what are the top 3 things that you can totally eliminate? And I think in my case is I have a bit of an addiction to futurist newsletters, how the people are going to think tomorrow. One of my big one is the top 100 by J.W. Thompson of the Future 100. And, there's like a 50 or 100-page report, and I can, read those endlessly. So I know that, it's not a distraction, but I could really eliminate some of them and put more space on what I need to do. So that's my not to-do list that I wanted to suggest for today. And I think we're done. So again, last week we did really clarifying your skills, your hard skills, your soft skills. But this week it's about clarifying your purpose. And it allows you to be more focused on where you want to go. And I'm talking about career, but maybe for others it's health or it's family. These are all choices that you can make. But that was my my take for this week. So next week will be about learning. One of you sent me an email with questions from last week. So I'm going to answer those rapidly, but as I shared with most of you, there's an email, there's a Calendly link in the email you're going to receive, and that's a time for one-on-one. If you want to create that email, so I think, Sophie, if you sent me the questions, I'm happy if you want to just put some time in my Calendly and we can do that one-on-one. But so you asked me, when speaking to recruiters or hiring managers about hard skills and soft skills, should we make sure to spell out the skills, or can we imply them? So I think implying them is fine, as long as you know them, because again, remember that if you're going to a meeting, most likely that you're already called into a meeting because you have the skills that they're looking for. So you can imply them. But if you can help the recruiter or the HR person understand at which level you are with the skills, it's very important. So I know we have an event producer, but if you manage events, from I don't know, $100,000 to $2 million, it's not the same as if you manage an event from $2 million to $5 million, right? So you're not at the same scale. So if you can imply your skills, but if you can be specific just to show at which level you are, right? If you manage a store, it's not the same thing if it's $1 million store or if it's a store that makes $50 million a year in revenue. So that's where you can give examples that help you set on which level you are. The question is, given the crisis we are in, and given the fact that we will be many to compete for one position, would you recommend to focus on highlighting our entrepreneurial skills rather than our corporate skills when it comes to achievements? So two things. I don't think you'll be competing. I think there's going to be plenty of jobs. They might not be the same jobs, but there will be plenty of opportunities. So I would challenge you to not think in competition that there's only one spot that you need. There'll be absolutely the job for you out there. I think if you can share, if you have both entrepreneurial and corporate, I think it's fantastic, because in today's world, we have to be autonomous. We have to be very, how can I say? So there's a term called intrapreneur. So you don't want to be just a person who's in corporate who does what they're told to do, right? You want to bring, you can show that you can bring initiatives, that you can create momentum within a corporation. That's great, because as an entrepreneur, you're used to tackling, 1,000 problems that you didn't have the day before. So how can you bring that entrepreneurship in a corporate world would be great if you're, interviewing with a corporation. And if you're interviewing with more of a startup, then, you can bring your knowledge of a corporate world by saying that you have already the processes that, maybe startups don't have at this point. So that's a way to balance. I don't know if that was a satisfying answer, or we can talk one-on-one, but that's my, and again, I would like to be very mindful of your time, which you're generously giving us, but would you be willing to review the 3 exercises of week 1, either by phone or mail? So yes, I'm happy to review them. I was going to do breakout rooms after to see if you wanted to share with other people that, that 3 minute. But if you prefer to do it on one-on-one, you have my Calendly that goes out in the email, and you can take a time with me this week or next, or the following, or whenever. And I'm committing, as I told you, every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So if you want to discuss, I'm happy to help, one-on-one. I know that job searching can be very challenging. But I believe that if you're already doing the work by showing up on this video and doing the few exercises, I can't tell you how much ahead of the curve you'll be from most candidates. So already you are in that, 5% or 1% of candidates who are prepared.